let's talk about 7 quick tips for getting your kids and you ready for back to school. Hi, my name is Tessa and welcome to Lessons for Little Blessings, where we talk about all things like math, reading, writing, different activities for your kids to help them thrive. So today I want to talk about, as it's almost time to go back to school or to start school in your home, just getting ready for that and some of the quick tips I have learned from being a teacher turned parent. I just have some ideas to share with you. Hopefully something will be helpful and your beginning of the school year will go smoothly. So some of these might seem obvious and some may not, so pick and choose what works for you guys. And in no particular order, I want to start with the first one is eating well, you and your child. I'm sure everybody knows how important nutrition is and the food we feed our bodies, but being in the classroom, I just really think it's so important. When kids are fueled well, they will do well in school and they won't burn out. Lack of energy with nutrition can lead to lack of focus or just tiredness and all those things we do see in the classroom. And so I really do believe in feeding your children well, especially that beginning of the school year. So give them a really good breakfast and pack them really good lunch. That really sets them up for their bodies to be ready to learn physically. Along with that, I would suggest doing some kind of a meal plan. If you already do, great. If you don't, this might be a good time to just give it a try. And it doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but the first couple weeks, if not more, just set yourself up a meal plan, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's a lot of different ideas. You can, search meal planning, and there's so many people that are way better at that than I am, but just having a plan I have found is crucial for parents and children, especially if you're a working parent. It's just nice to have something ready to go. Stock your fridge, make sure you've got all the things you need for that beginning week or two. I just really think that is a huge help to letting things go smoothly that beginning of the year. Snacks too might be something that you plan in there as well, whether they take that with them or have it at home. But okay, quick tip 2 is sleep. Get your kids to bed at least on time, if not early, that first week or two. You might notice their energy levels are lower because they're doing a lot more than maybe they're used to, or maybe not more, but they're doing different things than they're used to for the summer. They may have been more active in the summer physically, but school's just different. Whether they're going to school and they're coming back, they might be exhausted, or just even if you're homeschooling at home, it's just different. So their body is, just having to do different things than it used to, and you might notice that. So get them to bed at least on time, if not early. And if you had some, lax routines over the summer with staying up late, this is definitely the time to get that bedtime routine back and established so they know what to expect and they can be well rested to be better prepared to learn, because it does make a huge difference. Kids that are tired, they struggle to learn at school or at the home. They need to be well rested. Tip 3 is routines. So have routines in place at bedtime and in the morning, and specifically the morning, just because that's when the rush happens. Even write it out. Maybe have them practice the week before, just the order of it, and then it'll just make that morning rush seem a little less chaotic. And then kind of the same thing after when they get home from school. Maybe there's kind of a little routine you want to put in place for the getting back from school before dinner time. Even if you're at home homeschooling, routines are still so important, but same is true, maybe even more so when we're staying at home, because it's a little easier to think, well, I'm at home anyway, I'll be able to get these done. But then stuff happens, maybe your time you wanted to allot for education, school, at home, it kind of gets crunched. So routines are essential. And along with the routines, like your nighttime routine, I would have part of that being maybe when they're getting ready for bed, or maybe you would prefer to do it, might depend on the age of the child, but having them set out their clothes for the next morning so they've got them in the place they know where they're at, and they can just roll out of bed and have their clothes ready to go. That might be kind of one of the things you set up in place for your nighttime routine, but having that stuff ready, maybe you, or again, depending on the age of your child, if they make their own lunch or if you make the lunch, doing that at nighttime just so things are ready to grab and go in the morning to make it that much smoother. Another tip is kind of related to packing and having things set up ready to go. If you have younger kiddos like preschool, kinder, even first grade. When I taught first grade, we even had a few times we needed a pair of spare clothes. So maybe in the backpack, just put a spare pair of clothes in a Ziploc baggie or something. Maybe especially that first week or two, just to kind of see how it is. You might know your kid if they're prone to maybe having an accident or maybe jumping in a giant puddle or whatever the case may be. You might pack a spare set of clothes. Tip 4 is to prep your child or talk about expectations. So try to give your child as much information as they need. This could be different depending on the child. If your child is very prone to anxiety and you think that this would just be too much for them, then obviously use your discretion. But I think most children do well when they know what's expected of them and they know what they're getting into. I think that is true for adults as well. So talking to your child, everything from what the morning's gonna look like, also more specifically on like where their stuff is, their backpack, their lunchbox, what is in their backpack. So when they go to school, if the teacher asks like, where's your folder or whatever, they know where to go to get their things. So those are kind of some of the things, just kind of talk to your child, prep them with what they have, where, and then also a huge one as a teacher, this was like one of probably the most stressful day, first day of school. Make sure your child knows what their plan is for after school. Are they getting on the bus? If so, what bus? Who's going to be there on the other side? Who's picking them up in the car line? Are they walking with whoever they're walking with? So that is like a huge important thing. Make sure your child knows. All right, tip 5 is to talk about how it went. Debrief with your child. This is just really important to try to get your kids talking about how it went, what they like, what could maybe go better next time. And some of these things are out of, our control. We can't necessarily change them, but I still think it's good to have that dialogue and see, something was really, just didn't work for them. You might be able to tweak it. You can't fix everything, but I still think it's really important to try to have communication. Maybe ask open-ended questions. If you've got the child that's like, oh, how was your day? Good. Then you might want to try to ask them different questions to get them to talk about it a little bit more. There's little things that can be changed, great. If not, then just having that discussion and teaching moment of life is also helpful too. Tip 6 is to have a place for school stuff, whether that is a backpack that is going to school and coming home, or whether you're homeschooling and it's just you've got like your teaching cart, or they still have supplies, obviously. So having a place for school stuff. So those kids coming back, maybe it's just like a basket by the door where they just toss their backpack, lunch, and then you can go through and get to it when you get to it. Maybe you prefer them to put it like on a desk and take their folders out so you can look through the papers that you need to know. Just having a place will help ensure that the morning doesn't come and everybody's looking for the backpack or the folder or the permission slip or whatever. So teachers in schools do things differently, but when I was in the classroom, we had a folder where there was like one side was things parents needed to leave at home, and then the other was bring back. If your child has a folder like that, just get yourself in the habit of wherever your place is that school stuff is, to grab it and go through that quickly. It doesn't take too long, but there might be like a note from the teacher or a paper that they need to sign and bring back or whatever it is. So having a place for things is really key. Tip 7 is put names on your child's stuff. Now, this can be different with school supplies. So first, what I mostly mean is like coats, jackets, backpack, lunch, things that they'll be putting down and you want to make sure they return home. So make sure there's a name on there. School supplies is a little bit different. One of the schools I taught at, the students had their own supplies they brought, and they were in charge of, if something was missing or gone or lost, they were in charge of bringing it back. Another school I taught at, we had community supplies, so that you wouldn't need to put your name on it because you'd be wasting your time, because all the crayons went in the crayon basket and just as they were needed, they were used. So you might check with the teacher if it's not clear on your whatever supply list you get, if your child needs to be responsible for their school supplies because it is theirs, then you might put a name on it. And along with that is some of the things that are their own, you might let them personalize it. They might have a fun time decorating or personalizing their own supplies, and it kind of just gets them a little bit excited to start school, just something fun for that beginning of the school year. So there it is, my 7 quick tips for helping with back to school. Nothing, rocket science or super impressive. So whether you're homeschooling or sending your child to school, I do hope that you found a little helpful idea or something that you can implement to make your beginning of the year go smoothly. If so, please like this video or consider subscribing to my channel, where you can get more reading, math, writing, different activities to help your kids thrive. Thanks so much for watching and have a blessed day.